From Topps comes the all-new digital card collecting app, free to download from iTunes or Google Play. Star Wars Card Trader.
For the first time ever, collect and trade everything from legendary 1977 Star Wars cards to new cards featuring exclusive content from Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
All from the comfort of your mobile devices. Star Wars Card Trader.
These are the cards you're looking for.
Listening to Coffee with Kenobi, you are, with Dan Z and Corey Club, the podcast you're looking for. This is. Yes.
For an entire generation, people have experienced Star Wars the only way it's been possible, on the TV screen. But if you've only seen it this way, you haven't seen it at all.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
We've been waiting for you.
The force is strong here, even stronger than the coffee.
At last! Where have you been?
Welcome to Coffee with Kenobi. Here are your hosts, Dan Z and Corey Club.
Hello, this is Mike Audette, your resident Coffee with Kenobi blogger, RetroZap blogger, co-founder of the Star Wars Podcast Awards, and the winner of the Coffee with Kenobi second Patreon Coffee Chat. You're listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z and Corey Club. This is the podcast you're looking for.
On the special Coffee Chat, we welcome Mike Audette, co-founder of the Star Wars Podcast Awards, blogger for Coffee with Kenobi and RetroZapped, and a good friend. Mike was previously on our show before to discuss conventions he has covered for us, and is the second winner of our Coffee with Kenobi Patreon Coffee Chat. We are happy to have another cup of coffee with Mike. Welcome back, Mike.
What's going on, guys?
Not much, man. We're pumped. It's always good to talk with you.
Yeah.
Is this your third appearance or second?
I think it's third.
I think it's your third, because the first one is like,
Yeah.
I think we woke you up in the middle of the night or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, it was back after, I think it was at least must have been almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's right. And then for New York Comic Con.
Yeah, I remember covering everything for New York Comic Con. I interviewed Dave, Ashley, and Taylor Gray about the Rebels premiere. Looking forward to being able to do that again this year for San Diego with Mediocre Jedi.
That's right. And the two of you together, that's I'm pretty sure that might be illegal in a few states. I don't know.
Dynamic duo for sure. Yeah.
That's right. It's going to be fun. So as we did with Dennis Keithley when he won the first Patreon Coffee Chat, this is your show. We're just happy to be a part of it with you and enjoy a cup of coffee with you. So take it away, my friend.
Definitely. So as our time of recording, today the first teaser trailer for Rogue One debuted. So I figured for our first little portion of our discussion, we would just go over some of our thoughts of, things we noticed in the trailer, what we think's going to play out in the movie, sort of things like that. So first thing that I'm really looking forward to is just seeing how the universe looks, where the Empire looks completely, neat and clean, everything's crisp lines. So you got the Star Destroyers and the Death Star. At the end shot with Felicity Jones, you got the classic pill lights. And then everything on the Rebels end is hodgepodge and dirty and grungy. And, they're just doing everything they can do to try to scrap by to just survive. So that was probably the biggest thing that I noticed right off the bat, was how they're able to just get that Star Wars feel, right there.
That's a cool thing, the juxtaposition of the cleanness and the nature of the Empire and the Imperial clips, and then the Rebellion looks a little more rough and tumble. Sort of like, it's almost like reminded me of the Hurt Locker, but Star Wars style.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. No, I agree with that too. Yeah, it's that interesting effect of the dirty feel, but yet, like you said, Mike, the Empire is very crisp, very controlled, very clean, and that they did a good job of recapturing that. And kind of going into it when I first saw it, I don't know, it's weird because I didn't know what to expect, I guess. How much you guys, but I feel like going in, just from prefacing, from coming off episode 7 and not reading a whole lot about this, I didn't know what to expect. So going in, my mindset was totally blank. And overall, I think I was really really blown out of the water. So it was pretty cool.
And the whole thing just kind of came out of nowhere too, really. Because all of a sudden yesterday on Twitter it said, "Oh, by the way, on Good Morning America, there's going to be a Rogue One trailer." Whoa!
Yeah, I think that was that must have been a timing thing with the release of the Blu-ray on Tuesday. Wednesday they do the little 10-second little video saying that the the teaser trailer is coming on Thursday. So I think it was well timed by. Lucasfilm and Disney to, and sort of just build off of the event of the Force Awakens home release. There was the digital release last week, and then the Blu-ray was on Tuesday. So then they're like, okay, well, how about we just throw some Rogue One at you? You're going to eat it all up. So I think it was really good timing on their part because everybody was already had Star Wars on the brain that the Blu-ray came out. So it's just like, oh, let's just continue those good vibes and, finally give you something from Rogue One, because other than that panel at Celebration, we haven't seen or heard word one about Rogue One yet. So it was pretty good timing on their part to, finally give us some things to talk about for Rogue One.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like it's been a long time, I think, coming. And it seems like Disney marketing group and Lucasfilm there are really doing a good job of backing each other up. And like you said, rolling these things out one after another. And I almost had kind of forgotten there was some talk at Anaheim last year, about this time last year, really, about Rogue One. They had some teaser shots and kind of a quick kind of informal talk about, which I think I don't think I missed that.
That was the last day. I think that was Sunday.
Yeah, I think we missed that. So we just weren't available for that. But that seems like, even my mind, just thinking back to Anaheim and that situation, like the whole thing was a blur. But that portion of it wasn't me. Like I was kind of like, well, I'll just check it out online, or I'll just see it later.
Exactly. Yeah, it was on the last day. I mean, I wasn't even there for the last day because I flew home the night before, so it was like I wasn't gonna able to see it anyway. And like now that we're finally in the full swing of the lead up for Rogue One, we've gotten the comic announcements coming out in the fall, the new novel that's going to be a prequel coming from Del Rey. So it's, we knew it was inevitable that all this would be coming. We just didn't know when they would finally start to roll it out. But I think, with the timing of The Force Awakens coming out on Blu-ray was when their line of delineation was when, not that The Force Awakens hype is completely gone, but they figured once it's out on home video, it's out of the theaters, we can finally start focusing on the next thing that's coming out in theaters. While once, if this is, an indication of how the December releases are going to go forward, because when Episode 8 comes out December of 2017, maybe that marketing position will be the same thing, sort of how that way, once Rogue One comes out in Blu-ray, then we'll get a teaser trailer and a full trailer for Episode 8, so on and on down that line.
Yeah, which makes sense too. I mean, like you said, they wrapped up a lot of stuff in the last week or so with Rebels and being on Disney XD, and like I said, the release of the DVD and the trailer and stuff, which was absolutely excellent. I'm excited to have my copy and watch it. But I'm excited. It's good time to be a Star Wars fan, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, just if you're counting from last Wednesday with the Rebels season 2 finale up until this Thursday with the Rogue One trailer, I mean, everything that happened in between there is just, it's been completely gravy. I mean, that Rebels trailer, I mean, people are still talking about it. I mean, you guys obviously haven't been able to do a full Rebels reactions on it with Aaron, so it's like everybody's doing their podcasts on it. They're trying to get their thoughts on whether Ahsoka lived or didn't live.
And yeah, this is the first time that Corey and I have had a chance on the air to talk about this. I'm glad, Mike, that you're bringing that up. What do you think?
I'm sort of on the team that thinks she lived, but not in the traditional sentient being sense. A lot of people are, sort of thinking that with the fact that the birds or those owl sort of things, how they sort of represent the daughter from the Mortis arc in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, did you hear that on Full of Sith?
Yeah. I heard it from
Brian
Amy Ratcliffe,
and
I
Amy,
think.
Yeah.
And they were saying that those converies, I think was the name of the birds, they look just like the griffin or phoenix, the whatever animal form that the daughter from the Mortis arc took. That sort of, since Ahsoka had her life force in her, because if you remember from the Mortis arc, when Ahsoka was evil, Anakin had to use the life of the daughter to bring her back.
Right.
So maybe Ahsoka was able to transfer her essence into a Force being because she had the daughter inside of her,
Corey and I really haven't talked about this. In fact, we haven't talked about this at all, have we?
No, I don't think so. Not necessarily on the air, but maybe a couple texts here and there. But
yeah, even that.
You saw it before I did.
Yeah, I watched it the first night when I was really sick, actually. But it was it made me feel better for about an hour.
Yeah.
Here's my thing about Ahsoka. I'm hearing all kinds of theories, of course, and that's sort of how that's great because that's really fun. To me, I don't believe that she's transferred to an ethereal plane because, as far as we know, she hasn't trained with Obi-Wan and not Obi-Wan, but Yoda and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn. You know what I mean? Because those are the only three who know that how to be a Force ghost. So I don't know why. If Ahsoka hasn't been in the Order, I mean, it appeared to me that when she had that vision of Vader, when she was in the Jedi Temple with Kanan and Ezra, it appeared to me that was the first time she and Yoda had seen each other for a long time. That was kind of the vibe. So I don't think I believe that. I also don't think that she's dead. And besides the shadowy figure walking, here's the deal. I mean, we've loved Ahsoka for 8, 9, 10 years. I mean, it seems like every time I say a time, I listen to the show later, I'm like, boy, I was way off on the years, but that's okay.
Yeah.
English teacher, not math teacher. I feel like it would be a huge disservice to Star Wars fans if Ahsoka were to die. We didn't get to experience that with her and get some sense of closure with the character. I think that would be a great error in storytelling. I just do not think that they will do that. But I do think, based on Rebels Recon, that both Vader and Ahsoka will not be a factor at all in Season 3 of Rebels. I think that's going to either come back later or maybe be hinted to or something like that. But I feel like it's going to be for something else. I don't. What do you think, Corey?
Yeah, I mean, those are good thoughts. I remember watching that and thinking, there was no resolution for either of them. He walked out of the ashes. She kind of went off into the darkness. And, my head spun right back to when she left the Jedi Order, that walking away into her, kind of coming into herself and going off and kind of disappearing in a sense. And I would hope that there was more to this story and there needs to be something that ties these ends up a little bit. And you made a good point, Dan, where you said, Season 3 is not going to be about them anymore. We've done that. We've kind of seen that. So here, we're moving forward with something else. And maybe this effect of Vader in a sense where he's like, you see him say her name in that final battle and he understands who she is and what's going on. He's kind of come back to himself a little bit. You see that too when we see him in Return of the Jedi with Luke and coming back to himself, that kind of breaking the evil barrier. So something it's maybe scarred him emotionally. So maybe he's kind of left this fight for another person to handle in a sense, not necessarily he couldn't handle, but just the fact that it's too emotional for him to move forward, and he's better off just going on with something else. It's interesting because, like you said, these characters have come such a long journey, and for fans that just are beloved by, they need something to kind of end that tale or end that thing. Same thing with Darth Maul, and a lot of fans after that Son of Dathomir, like they mentioned, Rebels Recon, that was kind of the last time we heard of him, and that wasn't even wrapped up then. So they kind of spun him into Rebels, and now we can see some more Darth Maul and see where his journey leads. It was very interesting to me. What Dave said in the respects of he should have been Darth Vader or wanted to be Darth Vader in that sense. And I was like, I had never thought about it that way on Rebels Recon. So
that was neat.
It's really neat. Yeah. And so it gets me excited to see season 3 and see where it's going to go.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, Maul was probably my favorite part of that episode. Everything he did and Sam Witwer's performance was just out of this world good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I had a couple, you know, back last week on episode of Retro Zaps Brews and Blasters, we did like a whole Rebels roundtable show, and like I had a couple thoughts about Maul in that episode that Dave and Sam came out after and they did interviews, and they actually clarified some of the things that I had speculated on, and I was like, oh wow, I'm right. So that was really that was actually awesome? Pretty funny to see.
Hey, it's Dan Z
and Corey Club
from Coffee with Kenobi, and we are excited to let you know about the Star Wars card trader app from Topps.
Yeah, Dan, you remember those cards that came out in 1977, the good old days? Well, they're back again. Yeah, so it's the Star Wars card trader app. It has them all, as well as fantastic images from The Force Awakens, The Clone Wars, Rebels, and much more.
Absolutely. You've got your favorite characters, memorable scenes, you've got key moments. It's all there. You get credits every day for free from the app, which is available from iTunes or Google Play. Open packs from the cantina, trade with your friends, and enjoy these amazing Star Wars memories as you take your first step into a larger world.
There's so many different sets to choose from also, and there's so many great cards to chase. There's special inserts, there's rewards for completing sets and variants. It's everything you love in collecting from a galaxy far, far away.
The Star Wars digital card trader collecting app from Topps.
These are the cards you're looking for.
The whole idea of being able to share all of this Star Wars stuff with the whole community, everybody in the fandom community, and most of the whole community, fandom, friendship, relationship aspect of being a Star Wars fan in today's day and age is my favorite part of what Star Wars is doing, is just being able to make these friendships and these relationships with people, going to conventions and other kind of events, and you're forming bonds with people that you live across the country from. You maybe only see them once, maybe even twice a year at a convention or some sort of press event, something like that. But it's just something deep down inside of us that we know that these people are our friends, and we're going to be able to cherish these times and these memories and everything for the rest of our lives. So it's just, I wanted to, sort of just talk with you guys about what are some of your favorite things about, joining the Star Wars fan community? What kind of relationships do you cherish through these, your favorite memories from hanging out with people and going to, Celebration last year and looking forward to the next celebration, things like that.
Dan and I kind of did a dry run, if you want to call it, at Indiana Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And we knew that Joe was going to be there from Cantina Cast, and Amy Radcliffe was going to be there visiting some friends and at the convention. And we had tickets to see, we had planned to see Carrie Fisher and do something, get an autograph, and we weren't really sure. But what's interesting about that for me was that was kind of the first interaction of being to meet these people in real life that I've kind of known with online, hung out with online, been on their podcast, things like that. And seeing them, I didn't know what to expect. I was nervous. I didn't want to mess up. I didn't want to I want to be cool, because they're so cool. But then meeting them, I thought, man, these people are just like me. They're just fans of Star Wars, and we're just meeting up for a good time. And we had a blast. I mean, I was just like, it was so natural, if you want to call it that. I mean, it was so natural and exciting and fun, because we all had this almost like this inside joke that, we all like Star Wars, and we could sit there, how cool, look at your shirt, and look at, I picked this up, or look at something I did this last week, or, hey, did you see this? It was just like a natural language that we all spoke. And it's so weird, because it was almost like celebrating Christmas with your family and friends, or it's celebrating, a birthday party with family and friends, and you're like on that same group at that convention, and you're just having a party and having a good time and enjoying each other's company and stories and building friendships, even more so in real life. So it's interesting because it kind of builds on itself now that we are such social media focused people, that it's constantly a conversation we're ongoing as things pop up, like we mentioned Rogue One. It's just like we all jump in that boat and say, okay, let's discuss, let's enjoy, but to be able to get that done in real life, and even still in Anaheim, to the nth degree, as far as like my mind was blown as far as meeting some of the actors and such. But I think when it came down to it, I think the experiences, I had to kind of turn off my phone, turn off my electronic devices, and just enjoy the conversation, enjoy the folks I was meeting for the first time in real life and not virtually. But it's something that it's hard to put into words.
But you did a good job with it, honestly. I mean,
yeah, I was going to say.
I mean, seriously, and I agree with you. The Indiana thing, that was our first live interview. We did interview Mark Berry from the 501st when he came over for your son's birthday party. Remember that?
That's right. Yeah.
We used we used the iPhone to record that, and then we went to Indiana, and we bought that little handheld recorder, and we still have it. It works beautifully. Anytime you've heard us at a live show, that's what we're using. And I remember going around, and the author, the writer for the Princess Leia comic,
Mark Wade.
Wade. He was he was the first person we went up to and approached. And we went up and we said hi to him. And we introduced ourselves. And so we're with Coffee with Kenobi. And he's like, oh, he was super nice. But we were just getting started. We didn't even know who we were. So I understand that.
Yeah.
And then we shook his hand and we walked and we said, oh, we'd like to have you on our show sometime. Gave him a card. And then we walked away. And then Corey and I looked at each other and we were like, why don't we just interview him now? And we didn't have any questions or anything like that. And then we just agreed to sort of hand the mic back and forth to each other. We were like, I think you, Corey, would you agree that when we were doing it, like you said, it just felt very natural, like we've done it before. And then when we were done, we walked about 20 feet from him. We're like, whoa, dude, that was awesome. And then I got the bug. And now I'm just sort of like a crazy person when I'm at conventions and things like that. And it's just very fun. And it's always the mission is to give people a voice and give them a platform to speak their minds. I know how incredibly, I've said this so much, but I know how incredibly important that was to me before I had this show, before I even met Corey, that I wanted to have a voice. So I know every time you do that and empower someone, I would like to think that in the past couple of years, so many people have been so gracious to other fans. And now so many people are involved with different websites, different podcasts, different platforms. I think that really is awesome, and it speaks to how supportive we are of one another. And that is completely what this topic is about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, besides going to like some small conventions around, I went to like Rhode Island Comic Con with some friends and everything, but like going to Star Wars Celebration was taking my first steps into a convention and an atmosphere of that size. So, we flew out the first Thursday morning of the convention, got our rental car, drove over to Anaheim, first thing, get to the hotel room, check in. I threw my stuff down. I was like, all right, I'm going. And my mom's like, okay, be careful. I was like, thanks. So, and then I just like ran down the street to get to the convention. And if you remember, like when you walk down the street and then you turn the corner to where go down that sort of walkway where the convention was, I just get to the clearing and I just see this mass of people. And I'm just like, okay, I'm here. Like, this is it. This is the Holy Grail. Like I said, I was just walking there, I didn't know anybody. Like, I knew people who were there, but I hadn't met them in person yet. I knew you guys were there. I hadn't met you guys yet. A bunch of other podcasters, bloggers, and everybody I knew from Twitter and all social media was there, but I hadn't introduced myself yet. So I'm just walking through by myself, checking out all the sites, the first thing I went to was I walked down to the autographed hall, and I think I got a couple autographs the first thing. I met Daniel Logan and a couple other people the first time. So that was really cool. And then I was able to ran into Ryder Waldron while we were waiting in line for the Ian McDermott panel down in the main stage. And he was in a couple of like the queue rows over. And like, I just like pictured him. I was like, oh, hey, Ryder, hi, it's me, Mike. And like just waved to him. He was like, oh, hey, Mike, how you doing? I was like, good, how are you? And then we were able to finally talk actually face to face back after the convention was over, when everybody met up at the Hilton next door to the convention center, and like just being able to meet all the people there was just, it was sort of like a seminal moment, just being able to say you've met all these wonderful people in person that you've known online, and you've already, you feel like you're best friends with them, but just being able to, confirm that in person was, it was sort of just a life-changing experience. I'm just getting so nostalgic thinking about it.
It's a neat thing that you can, it's just something amazing to capture when you do feel like you know these people well, even though you don't get to see them every day. And then when you see them face to face, it's like a good friend that you have that you've been away for a while, but then as soon as you see them, it's like no time has passed. You know what I mean? And it also, like you said, feels very natural when I remember meeting you for the first time at Celebration Time and meeting everybody, and it just like there's just this warmth, this glow that everybody has because everyone's genuinely excited to see each other. There's no ego, there's no anything. It's just pure joy and bliss because you're together to basically have, as I keep telling people, Celebration's like Star Wars nerd camp, and it's the best.
Yeah.
It is the best because everybody gets along, and I know sure there's some people that don't, but we didn't experience anything like that, fortunately. And it's a pretty magical thing. You'd ask earlier about meeting different stars and celebrities, and you probably can already guess what I'm going to say, but it was Freddie. How can you not be Freddie? Or meeting Steve Sansweet was pretty great, and I was pretty excited to meet the Stars.com team because I've been working with them so closely for a while, and now they're good friends of mine, and that's just a neat thing. There's so much connectivity here. How about meeting Weird Al, Corey? What about that?
Yeah, right. Well, that's the thing too. I was going to mention. Yeah, working. We got the opportunity to kind of be the behind the scenes cantina at the Star Wars booth, and that's something like that kind of just came out of nowhere. And that was kind of a fun thing too about being those conventions and stuff. Here you are hanging out with your friends, and all of a sudden an opportunity comes up or something happens where it makes it an experience for you and your friends and the people you met online to go through together and be like, oh man, wasn't that awesome? It's something that I don't know. It's hard for me to describe, I guess. And it's just like, something you'll always stick with you, I think, as long as you go, and something you can always come back to is building memories, and something that carries you through the saga. And too, it's something you can go see the movies, you can go watch Rebels on TV, you can do your collecting and whatnot, but you have these memories built with these people that are almost better than any collectible you'll get. It's hard to put into
absolutely.
Oh, I like that.
Like, it's this one of the thing of the entire Celebration experience, that one of the things that I'll never forget was being able to go to the Rebels Season 2 premiere with Mediocre Jedi. And we waited together in like the waiting room for like 3 hours beforehand, because that's how long the wait was going to be to make sure you got in. And just being able to experience that with him was just something I'll never forget. We're just sitting, we were like almost all the way in the back of the digital stage where the premiere was, and like we're just sitting there just geeking out over everything and that happened through in the premiere for Season 2 of Rebels. We were just like, it was just one of those things where if you're a movie or like a sporting event and you're there with a friend and something awesome happens and like you just turn and look at your friend and you just give them like the eyebrows or you just give them the nod.
Yeah.
It was the entire time it was just moments like that. We were like nerding out to each other, pointing out musical cues that we recognized, and just like mouths agape when Vader's owning people in his TIE fighter, and that just being able to experience that with him as as a best friend is just one of the easily probably the one celebration memory I'll never forget. Do you guys have any one celebration memories that you have like that where it just made that much of an impact that you won't be able to forget it?
Yeah, I'll say for me, it's kind of a combination of things.
Yeah.
So I think for the biggest one for me was sitting in the big theater. Well, it was the side stage for the Force Awakens trailer, and sitting around all our friends we met so far, kind of sitting together, that we stood in line with, some friends we had just made on the fly there, and getting to experience the trailer. But in back of my mind, I'm sure Dan's mind as well, we were looking to do the podcasting stage for the very first time, which we were nervous about.
It was not on the back of my mind. It was all around.
Yeah. But like to have the trailer run and then have that impact you, and you, like you said, your mouth is agape, and you're like, oh, you're looking at all your friends going, oh my gosh, But then for Dan and I to look at we're looking at our watches as well, going, we need to go over there to get set up, and then we had to run. Basically, we had to leave after the first showing, and they said, oh, I want to see it again. I kind of heard I heard it playing as we left that room there, and then running at full sprint, literally out of breath to the casting stage, and then setting up from there. It was like a rush that I will never forget, and it's like I don't know what it was, a rush of nervousness, excitement. I don't know. I think I peed a little bit. I don't know how that works, but it was something that I will never forget. But and then getting on stage and getting set up and having that experience was a whole nother wave of emotions and excitement and fun, and then just carried on. I think that for me was the best time. To be able to do that with Dan and Toe there. We're both, out of our wits' mind as far as what to feel. What are you feeling right now? I don't even know. I could barely talk. It was crazy. So that for me was the best.
It's hard to encapsulate that entire experience into just one memory. But I agree. I mean, from sitting in line with Adam Bray and watching the trailer, and they play it a second time, and I looked at you and I said, like, I enjoyed the trailer, obviously, and everyone was cheering, and my mouth was agape, but I was so worried about getting to the podcast stage on time. It was in my mind, and I was trying to think about what I was going to talk about on the stage while I was watching it for the first time.
That we also had Dak Morton on the stage.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm sorry, I'm still talking about when I'm in the theater watching the trailer.
Right, sure.
And then,
yeah.
And I was thinking about what I was going to say, and then you and I were running, and as we were running to go upstairs, you started asking me questions. We were started having a little mini show. I'm like, hey, I don't know. We'll talk about it on the stage. And I was like, remember that? Excuse me.
Yeah, I do.
So we ran in.
Did you see that? Yeah.
We ran in, and the first person that was there was Mike Pilot.
Yeah. Mike
Pilot, one of the biggest Star Wars fans I know. He skipped seeing the trailer live for the first time to help us.
That's a weight you got,
And I will never forget that. And then, when people kept coming in, and I would say a good percentage of podcast personalities came in and watched us and supported us. I mean, you can go back and listen to the Celebration show, but I mean, everybody's there. Cantina Cast, Skywalking Through Neverland, Star Wars Bookworms. I mean, there were just so many different groups there. Radio Tatooine, everybody was there, and it was really special. It was just a neat moment. And it was like there was a line, they had to cut it off for people to come in, and I think that was crazy. And then there was a guy in the back, and he was looking at us, and he was like smiled the whole time. It was really neat, and I just because everybody was smiling, but he was particularly smiling. And then at the end, Matt Martin came up, and I had met him, so he was trying to get us to get on there because StarWars.com was going to interview podcasts, and so we were running out there, and then people were coming up and talking to us, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, we actually pulled this show off. Because usually when Corey and I talk, we'll look down and it'll be 7 hours or whatever. And I kept thinking, oh, okay, we got to get an hour in here. We got to get through this. And then this one guy stops me on the way out, and he says, hey, I just want to say I really appreciate your show and what you guys do. And he was really complimentary. And I said, thanks a lot. And I shook his hand, and he was real friendly. And I walked away, and I took a step, and I thought, that was Leland Shee.
Wow.
I just barely talked to Leland Shee. Those
That's
are crazy
awesome.
memories. That seeing the Rebels trailer for season 2.
Season 2.
That was electric.
Yep.
And then the moments leading up to interviewing Freddie, that was as nervous as I've ever been interviewing someone. And then as soon as I saw him and he locked eyes with me and he goes, hey, what's up, dude? I thought, okay, we're good. It's just like talking to him on Skype. And so those are all like I guess pie in the sky dream moments that you never imagine you're going to have, but legitimately, like you said, Mike and Corey, just walking around and seeing people that you've never met face to face, but you know so well, and just feel like you're at a reunion of lifetime friends.
It definitely feels like a family reunion.
Yeah, and it just makes me really even more bummed that I'm not going to Celebration London.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be able to swing that, but it's just luckily, I'm able to go to San Diego Comic-Con, and it'll be sort of like a mini reunion for Celebration, because I know a bunch of friends are going to be going. Luckily, being able to create more memories, things like that, is just such a fun and rewarding experience, and it's all based on Star Wars, which is, that's probably the craziest thing out of all of it. Like, who would have ever thought that we would be able to have this entire community and this whole family just from a movie that came out in 1977. Besides that, that's probably the biggest, when you tell somebody, oh yeah, I'm a Star Wars fan, they think, oh yeah, you probably like the movies and things like that. But if it's just like a coworker who doesn't really know you that well, or say like a family friend or something like that, they don't know this entire other world that you live with and all these other people that you care about, and everything else that Star Wars means to you. One thing that we can do is try to bring them into that Star Wars family.
Right. Oh, I agree. That's the goal, because you don't want to alienate. You want to encourage and just bring everybody together. It sounds like we're doing a Coca-Cola commercial from the 70s when I say that, but yeah, it's nice. Like I'm a friend of Mike. I get to be Mike Audette's friend, and that's cool. How else would we have met, Mike? You know what I mean? It's just, unless like
exactly.
I was at a Cubs game and playing against your boys or something like that.
Cubs never come to Boston. I think the last time they came to Boston was like 50 years ago or something like that.
Well, yeah, with the interleague play, it was. It's not very frequent, to be sure, but it's an amazing thing. Being a Star Wars fan and having this community, and we always talk about it. It's very unique.
Yeah, there's not many other fandoms that are able to have people forge these kind of bonds. A lot of us are in the Star Wars, sort of fandom community. We're crossover sports fans, or we're crossover fans of other things, whether it's, Star Trek or Harry Potter or other, book series and movies. But the one thing that separates it all is the Star Wars, community and fandom. It's like all those others combined on steroids, Yeah. this, every other one. Yeah, exactly. They don't have that level of familiarity with the people from, wherever you're from, wherever, whatever your background is, whatever your belief system is. Star Wars is able to just completely bring everybody together under this one roof, and you're all family and friends there. And it's just, that's probably the biggest thing that has happened in my life is becoming part of this Star Wars fan community. You know, I can't imagine where I would be if I didn't join this community. It's kind of sappy to say, but
no,
you know, if I wasn't able to meet you guys, if I wasn't able to, you know, become friends with everybody else that I work with and to, you know, follow podcasts and meet hosts and meet, you know, people who, you know, work in the Star Wars industry who are just as much friends as we are, you know, it's luckily just been such a life-changing experience.
Am I right that the first time that we actually interacted is when you challenged us to the ice bucket challenge?
It might have been because, I probably was listening to you guys for probably like a few months before then. And I probably had like send you guys a couple tweets about episodes or something because I was catching up on episodes, like listening to backlogs. And then I challenged a bunch of podcasts to do the Ice Bucket Challenge.
And we did it.
We did. Yeah. That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
You guys did it. And I still have the YouTube video saved. Justin Bolger, who was back then when he was on the Forcecast, he did it.
And now he works for Lucasfilm.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
how things change, right?
That's great. Yeah, it's very cool. So, Mike, we've always appreciated your support. I mean, not only do you lend your passion with us and your friendship, but you also write for us and cover conventions, and you just do a great job. So, I mean,
thank you. Yes.
Well, we appreciate it, and you also are a Patreon contributor for us, which we value so much, and we fair and square drew your name out of a hat. We do it twice a year, and how it works is hopefully people are familiar with. However much you spend per month is how many entries you get a month in the big coffee pot, and like $5 a month is one entry, $10 a month is two entries, $35 is 10, and on and on. And the more you contribute, the more entries you get. The example I always give is if you contribute $35 a month for 6 months, you get 60 entries in the coffee pot. That's sort of how that works. That's just an arbitrary number. I'm not a math teacher, as you know, but that's how that works. And so we've had Dennis, we've had Mike. We'll do this again in the winter, right before Rogue One is about to come out. And Mike, it's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure. We're happy that you won. We're happy when anyone wins, but it is sort of extra nice when you already know someone. So is there anything else you want to talk about before we finish our coffee?
Nothing really besides, just want to, thank you guys again for letting me come on and get your thoughts about some of the things that I'm passionate about in the Star Wars community and letting me be part of the Coffee with Kenobi family. I definitely, I'm always feeling the love from you guys and can't appreciate it enough.
Well, I was going to say too, I mean, you originally had said that, it's kind of sappy the way I feel and stuff. It's not sappy at all. It's because it's something that you're passionate about. And I think if your passions drive you in your life, you can succeed in what you do, and you'll only be better for it. Learning, becoming friends with those along the way who raise you up and help you along the way. So, like Dan mentioned, getting on a Patreon and becoming, allowing us to do what we do. We do it because of the fans who enjoy listening to us and support us too. I mean, we try to do most we can to give back, I guess, in a sense, because like you said, it's a community thing. And it does sound kind of sappy, but it's something we're all passionate about, something that drives us each day, just to enjoy the community and have a good time. And, I want to give you a chance too, Mike, to let folks know where they can get in contact with you and plug into the community, get to know you a little more and reach out.
Sure thing. Yeah. Thanks, Corey. So in addition to Coffee with Kenobi, I also write for a site called RetroZap. It's a sort of Star Wars and pop culture website where I write a weekly column where it's sort of spin on the Star Wars news that happened in that week. Yep, it's called the Audette set, play off of my last name, which is really cool. Yeah. Goes along with the community aspect of Star Wars that I love so much, is where I'm sort of putting my own commentary on what is what are the big news stories that is affecting the Star Wars community in that week. So that comes out. You can find that every week on retrozap.com. And also, going back towards the community, me and Andy Yuri co-founded the Star Wars Podcast Awards, which is an initiative on our part to celebrate the entire Star Wars podcasting community, just to be able to, put recognition out for all the work that everybody who hosts their own podcasts or, website, everything that they do for the Star Wars community. It's all about, being able to recognize all their achievements, all the hard work that they do for something that they love and something they're passionate about. We wanted to be able to say, we definitely recognize what you're doing and, we appreciate you. It's a love letter from the fans to, other fans, from podcast to podcast, host to host. It's just being able to, recognize all the initiative and the hard work that everybody does for Star Wars that they love so much. So you can look forward to our ceremony show, which will be coming out in the month of April, where we'll be announcing all of the award winners. You can go onto our website, StarWarsPodcastAwards.com, where you can check out the award categories and see who the finalists were. So you'll be able to get your guesses ready for the winners when we get our ceremony show going. And that should be coming out. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, because I know that you said it's going to come out, but is it going to be on iTunes? We go to the website. Where do we find it, the Star Wars?
Oh, yes. As of now, we don't have the official feed up on iTunes yet. Once we are able to put our ceremony show together, we still have a lot of sound work and actual recordings to do for that. But once we have that up and forward, you'll be able to check out our Twitter, which is SW Podcast Awards, and check the website, and we will have links to where you can get the ceremony live podcast show. We will be putting it on iTunes once we're done recording and getting everything together on our end.
Fantastic. Well, Mike, again, thank you so much for your generosity, your time, your talents. We're very excited that this was able to happen. There was a lot of obstacles of people getting sick and stuff like that, but we made it work, and we thank you so much for being you.
Oh, no, thank you guys. Seriously. I mean, it's just, being able to do this is just something I never, years ago, I never thought I'd be doing. So, it's a love letter from one Star Wars fan to the next.
Chewie, get us out of here!
If you would like to respond to our question of the show, have a comment, or just want to say hello, send us an email or MP3 at feedback@coffeewithkenobi.com. Or if you have a specific question or comment for either of us individually, email us at danz@coffeewithkenobi.com or coryc@coffeewithkenobi.com. Or visit us at coffeewithkenobi.com and click on the Contact Us section, or comment on one of the stories featured on the site. If you enjoy the show, please write a review in iTunes or Stitcher. You can also like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi, as well as keep up to date at our Twitter feed at Coffee with Kenobi. You can also find us on Tumblr at coffeewithkenobi.tumblr.com. If you enjoy the jazz music, the album is Eye to Eye by Steve Torok.
Give the evacuation code signal.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here. Move along.
From Topps comes the all-new digital card collecting app, free to download from iTunes or Google Play. Star Wars Card Trader.
For the first time ever, collect and trade everything from legendary 1977 Star Wars cards to new cards featuring exclusive content from Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
All from the comfort of your mobile devices. Star Wars Card Trader.
These are the cards you're looking for.